This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. An influential railroad workers union has rejected a labor deal brokered by President Biden, raising the threat of a crippling strike before Christmas. Dave Boyer reports the rejection by the Smart Transportation Division increases the likelihood that Congress will step in to settle the dispute before a strike begins as early as December 5th. The union has 36,000 members representing rail conductors. Another large freight union, the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, voted Monday to ratify the agreement, but said it would honor a picket line if any other unions walk out. 7 smaller unions have approved the 5-year deal, which includes a 24% raise and $5,000 in bonuses. Many union members said they voted to reject the contracts because they failed to address demanding schedules and quality of life issues for employees. All 12 railroad unions must approve the contracts to prevent a strike. Morale has been a declining factor in battles throughout world history and could ultimately spell doom for Russia's war in Ukraine. Scholars and military analysts tell Ben Wolfgang that low morale in the Russian ranks is one of the biggest reasons why they failed to achieve many of their objectives in Ukraine. That's despite a far larger army and massive advantage in virtually all other quantifiable metrics. Ukrainian soldiers believe deeply in their cause and have been buoyed by successes, but Russian troops by nearly all accounts appear to doubt the competence of their leaders. The result has been a massive gulf in motivation, energy level, initiative, and confidence. That gap has appeared on the battlefield in several ways, specialists say, because troops with low morale simply don't perform well. The Supreme Court has been asked to step into a thorny debate over whether the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is legal, potentially adding another major case to an already packed docket. Alex Sawyer and Stephen Diner report U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar asked the justices to reverse a lower court ruling, saying the CFPB, an executive branch agency, steals Congress's power of the purse by having independent funding. Prelogar has asked the court to speed the case onto their calendar and hear it during this term. That would likely mean a court decision by June. The CFPB's independent financing was at the heart of the idea of creating an agency to police Wall Street after the 2008 financial collapse. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer are stepping down after decades in top leadership posts, but a fellow octogenarian is pledging to stay in charge. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who was reelected last week to a record 9th term as head of the Republican conference, will not be stepping aside, according to aides. The statement, Susan Ferricchio and Kerry Pickett report, refutes speculation from anonymous Senate Republicans outside of his inner circle. The speculation had been that the 80-year-old Kentuckian wouldn't serve for long in leadership, but would remain in the Senate in another role, perhaps in a senior position on the Appropriations Committee. And finally, a growing list of Republicans refused to let former President Trump's campaign affect their White House aspirations. Seth MacLachlan reports Republican megadonors announced they wouldn't back Trump's primary bid, signaling they're more interested in other potential candidates, such as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. The overall response to Trump's announcement was underwhelming in Republican circles. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.